Hey, I'm so glad that you're back for week 2 or maybe even your first week. So many great comments from last week, lots of great discussion, lots of groups just connecting with each other, perhaps even for the first time. Pretty awesome. Thank you for being a part of this. Hey, look, today this week we're talking about the supremacy of Christ, how Jesus is over everything. Paul and Timothy are writing to the church there in Colossae and just reminding them, just pointing out, just driving home the fact that it's Jesus plus nothing. Jesus is over everything, right down to the fact that Jesus was the one through whom the Godhead, God the Father, the Son, and the Spirit spoke everything into being. It was Jesus' voice. And then Jesus he is the Word and becomes the Word made flesh. The Word, John says, that became flesh and walked among us. That's Jesus. And Paul goes on to say here in Colossians that he is essentially describes him as a glue that holds all creation together. And it's kind of fascinating. Some of our groups, you guys have some brilliant minds, and I'll let you guys kind of take these thoughts and run with them. I'm not going to try to describe them. But if you were to go to the subatomic level and you think about the gluons that hold and bounce around inside of particles at the subatomic level, pretty incredible. And you take those away, and there is no foundation for creation. And then you jump on up to the physical matter of biological creation, and at the foundation of that, down at the basement level, you would even find this protein molecule, cellular adhesion molecule called laminin. It's one of many. There's a bunch of them, but it just happens to be shaped kind of like a funny cross. How cool is it that if you were to take laminin out of the cell, it binds collagen to all of the other parts of the cell. And without laminin, that doesn't happen, which means the cell has no integrity. It would fall apart. It would never form in the first place. If you go back and you take the stickiness of gluons out of the foundational subatomic level, particles could never form. Atoms could never form. Jump all the way into creation. God spoke you and I into being. Just as we see in Genesis, he spoke and the world became everything that we know. And he tells us in Scripture that before he formed us in our mother's womb, he knew us. Before he knit us together in our mother's womb. It goes on to elsewhere in Scripture, it says that we are so fearfully and wonderfully made, that we are so complex from the mind of God, and yet we're designed, and we look at each other and we just see a person, But it's kind of like fractal design. If you take an image and you keep zooming in on a fractal image, it doesn't really get more complex. You just see more of it. The further in you zoom, and all of creation is that way. If we were to pull back and see all of creation, outside of, or part of the universe, outside of our atmosphere and into space, you see all of the created lights, Scripture says, and the planets and the stars. But then you zoom in and you see the world, you see the earth, you see us, you see the fish, you see all of creation. But then you even zoom in further and you see those subatomic particles inside of each of us. And yet, while God is holding, through the person of Christ, holding all of that together, and yet is also the one who designed it, created it, launched it into being, he is as intimately involved in that as he is in your everyday life. The brokenness that you have, the great days, the sad days, he's right there in the midst of that. Nothing's going to pull him away from you. Nothing's going to take him away from you. If you are his, then he is yours, and nobody can come between you and God. I'd love for you to spend some time this evening reading through the Scripture, and there's some other references, yes, but the point is not to finish the discussion. The point is to have some great discussion. So where is God holding you together? Maybe there's some brokenness in all of our lives that you might feel comfortable now to share with other folks and other believers, part of the body, that God might use to give you some stickiness to hold you together. How would God use you to be the glue, Christ in you, the Spirit of God living in you, to hold your family together? Maybe you're the only glue that's there, the only representation of Christ in your family. Let's spend some time praying that God would continue to use you, that God would do some incredible things in your family, among your friends, that God would use you as he shines through you as only he can. Hey, I'm so excited that you're there. Y'all have some great discussion. And James will be with us the next two weeks, next 2 Sundays and the next 2 weeks in small group. God bless.